Hi, Jaya.
Good
I'll just
morning.
making you co-host. I just need to do a couple of things. If you just wait 1 minute before letting everybody in, I just need to post a couple of things, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, we're ready. Yeah, we're ready to go. I'm ready to go. Good morning, beautiful people.
Good morning, beautiful person.
Thank you. It's great to see we got the dream team as well, brother and sister. Hello, good morning. Good morning, everyone. We have the first thing we're going to do this morning, especially if you are from the UK, you should get your Union Jack flag out. Okay, so let me start sharing with you. There's quite a few things. Obviously, we got. I live in the UK, although I'm Italian. But obviously, when there are things to celebrate, things to be proud of, we should be proud. So let me share the screen. So bring your page up. Okay, so have you got your flag ready? Are you waving? Are you waving the flag? Okay, so let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. As you can see, the UK this week has been the first major economy to actually have a double-digit inflation. So as you say, we're breaking all records. Yeah, we are coming at everything first. So this is what we've done. We've done this better than anybody else as well. So let's start from the real world before we go into crypto. Let's start talking about finances. Let me say, where's the calendar? So if we see what's happened this week, this is just an economic calendar that I use. Where are we going? Sorry, where is it going into weekly? Okay, so we're seeing this week. So the announcement. So we concentrate really on the red events. We had good news from Canada. Kind of like the CPI, so the measure of inflation is much lower than it was last month. So this is on a monthly basis, month by month. So we've gone from 0.7 to 0.1% in line with expectations. On Wednesday, really we had in New Zealand, it was confirmed that the official interest went up from 2.5 to 3%. As you might well know, but this is the big announcement of the week, really, is the CPI in the UK, what came up even ahead of expectation. So it was 9.5% on a yearly basis, it was expected about 9.8, and it actually came up at 10.1. So there's two measures of inflation: the consumer price inflation, the retail price inflation. Generally, they're calculated in a slightly different way. So generally, CPI is lower than the RPI. So the RPI is actually 12.3%. So these are kind of like eye-watering amounts, and this is part of the reason why we have so many strikes in the UK from different industries, because obviously, this means that the cost of living has gone up by this much for everybody. And the wages, negotiation, in most cases, wages are going up by, 3-4%. And especially for lower income earners, this is really affecting everybody's everybody's pockets, everybody's ability to pay for basic functions. We're not talking about anything extravagant, but even just to have the electricity on and gas to have heating on. Obviously, we don't need it right now because it's we're in the middle of summer. As the winter approaches, this is becoming a real problem. People have to decide if to, and what they say, eat or heat. And we are really at that point with an increasing number of people in the UK. They are actually thinking, can I afford to use gas to cook my food? Can I afford to use gas to heat my home, etc., etc.? And we, as we'll see in a moment with the official figures, that is quite significant, and we can see the trend as well. On a more positive notes, we had better results than expected in retail sales in the US. Were expected to be negative instead of they turned positive numbers. So it's kind of like a half a percentage point more than was expected. And a slightly good news as well in the Australian economy. Kind of like there's been an increased change in employment. We have employment rate has dropped from 3.5 to 3.4%. So these are mainly the figures. There's nothing really to be coming in today with major announcements. The one thing, the slightly ahead of expectation, retail sales that were expected to be negative in the UK are actually come back positive, but it's not that big an announcement. But this is interesting as well. And you can see the consumer confidence in the UK, and 0 here is the threshold. Okay, so any positive number means that confidence is improving in the consumer confidence improving, and negative number is getting worse. So this is showing actually it was already expected to get worse this month, and it's actually come down even worse. So people are really expecting bad things from the coming months, and this is almost can be, although it's kind of like it's a soft announcement. I mean, it can be seen as attitude towards spending, towards finances, because if people are worried about they're not confident in how the economy is going, then they hold back in discretionary spending. So they hold back, for example, going out to dinner, and they say they eat at home, and all these things that have cumulative effect on the economy. Okay, so something like starting to by the way, I mean, it's a good thing if you're not used to looking at this kind of data. It's a good teaching resource, because you can go, if you don't know what these things mean, you can just click here on the folder icon and you get an explanation of what this indicator means, and then you got related story if you want to read more in-depth report on that particular news release. So it's as if you start and it's not that big. Every day there are a few announcements that you don't have to read them all, but just the more important ones. It's the retail sales month on month and so on. It would be a good idea if you just familiarize yourself with what that that information really means, and how generally it affects the markets. So you see here, for example, these are the core retail sales month on month. So, and it shows you, the previous month, the forecast, and then the actual number. And you can see that there's sometimes, the forecast is close to the actual. Sometimes it's quite different. Sometimes it's a lot different. Like, for example, look in March, they were expecting, we've gone from 4.4% to an expectation of 0.9 and the actual number of 0.2. So that's the expectation in this case is saying the expectation was really of a steep decline, and this was even worse than people expected. So this kind of news do tend to move markets. So it's important that you get a bit familiar with what with the frequency when these news are released, and it's a very good idea if you are kind of buying and selling, whether it's shares, cryptos, or anything like this. before you put any order through, consult an economic calendar. I mean, I use this one, but there's many. There's many. If you just Google economic calendar, you'll find lots of stuff that comes up. But it's a good idea to see before you put any buy or sell order, that you see if there's something coming in the coming day or so that can affect the markets. So sometimes, before important announcements, the market is really, really quiet. So there's hardly anything going on because the market is expecting the news, and then we'll react and we start moving once there's some certainty about how the economy is performing. Okay, so this is interesting. And here, just going on to, these are the release from the Office of National Statistics Office for National Statistics in the UK, so that the main body that releases this kind of information. And here you can read the main points. This is the latest release. Okay, so it's interesting to see what and sometimes this, when you listen to the news, it's actually quite funny because sometimes you will get some politician that will tell you that this is really good because public net borrowing was 0.8 billion less than 1 year ago. Okay, but what they don't tell you is that a year ago we had the furlough scheme, so the government was like in an emergency budget, spending lots of money, to keep people in employment. So at the moment, and now that scheme is finished, so we don't have that expense anymore. Even without that extra expense, we're still pretty much at the same level as last year. And the paragon really we should compare this to what happened before the pandemic. Okay, so if we compare that with what happened before the pandemic, we are about spending 6 billion more per month this month compared to the same month pre-pandemic level. But the other thing that's interesting here, and talking about the expenditure increase to 76 billion, etc., interesting to see is this little number here. So 2.3 billion increase in just interest payable on the national debt. Okay, this is quite significant because this number keeps going up and up and up and up and up. So it's very difficult for the number to start coming down, especially as now the central bank has started raising interest rates because they're trying to control inflation. But on the other side, obviously, because they're raising interest rates, they need to pay more money to bondholders because many of these bonds are linked to inflation. And obviously, when they put a new bond onto the market, and the market expects a higher payment. Yeah, you can see if you go right down. Sorry, no, 1 second. Different thing. So if you look at the kind of, this is the budgets. It's just a Wikipedia, by the way, nothing major. So they're not looking at difficult resources to consult. Okay, but it's interesting here to see what these numbers really mean, because 100 billion, 50 billion, but what does that really mean? And this is interesting because we can compare the historic numbers right from 1998 to the current day, and you can see that in the 2000s we were in a situation in the UK where the money that was coming in through taxation and the government expenditures was pretty much the same. So very either complete balance like in 1999 and 2000, or even like a little bit of surplus like 2001, or a little bit of deficit in 1998. But roughly speaking, the public finances were in equilibrium. And then this is, as we can see, they started after the early 2000s, started going up. And then we had obviously the crisis of 2008, and we had a lot of money was spent. So the other side of this, what we don't see here, is the national debt that keeps accumulating. And the problem is that if that grows at a higher pace than the economy grows, we have a problem because then this deficit starts. So the deficit is when we spend more money than we get in. So we'll understand that. Let's say if we're using in a household budget, if you're spending more money that you have coming in from your wages, then you put the money on debt, on maybe credit card or getting a loan out. but basically you are living above your means. And this is what it means for the whole country that is living above its means. And we can see here this, obviously you can see the revenue grows. I mean, it's grown like 3 times since 1998 to 2021. At the same time, also the expenditure grows, which has grown more 3 times. Okay. So as you can see, the deficit, so the amount is spent more than what it gets in, is growing all the time. And this is interesting because now, if we start looking at where we were at the beginning of the pandemic, before the pandemic began, to where we are now, so we discount the 2021 numbers because that's an emergency number, but we see where we are now is pretty much like it's double the deficit that we had in 2020, and also the debt to GDP ratio is growing all the time, and we're getting now to the level of economies that were considered a lot weaker than the British economies, like, for example, like being Italian. Like we're getting closer to debt to GDP ratio on economies like Italy, Spain, they say Greece as well. So this is serious because the UK is one of the main economies, one of the top 7 economies in the world, and it is showing that it's getting up to levels that would be difficult to come back from. I mean, coming back to this kind of a balanced budget, you can forget about it. I don't think we'll ever get back to this level here without causing major disruption, like the raging 20s in the US. Okay, so what that means for you and me, it means that basically the government is taking out, as the numbers say here, and these numbers, by the way, are understated. Okay, because in real life, I mean, if you go in any supermarket and start crunching a few numbers on how much you were spending, 6 months ago, how much you're spending now, you find out the increase is a lot more than that. But even at 12.3%, that means that every year, basically, of all the money that you have saved somewhere, you give 12.3% to the government. This is on top to all your taxes, on top of every other thing that you have to pay. This is on top of everything, simply with the money that you've already paid tax on and that you store in somewhere for a rainy day. Okay, so this is really how much the government is taxing you on your savings. Okay, so the question then is that what do I do with my money? How can I keep the spending, the purchasing power of this money at least standing still, if not getting better? Is you need to find a way of then investing somewhere that can give you more than this amount. Otherwise, you are losing purchasing power. Because just remember, I know that guys are often talk about money, but we always consider this thing money. We don't really understand what it is. At the end of the day, it's our stored purchasing power that we have. Well, we have delayed gratification because we have more than what we need today to survive, and then we put it away for a rainy day. So at the end of the day, this is our work that we have safely stored away somewhere. And I consider this nothing more than scandalous. The idea that after you have paid, in many cases, 50-60% of your value that you generate in taxation, this is also levied on top of that. And this is why we're talking about cryptocurrencies every week, because cryptocurrencies are a way of resolving this problem, because it is going back to a virtual standard where the money doesn't depreciate every year, where it is one asset that stays the same because nobody has the power to produce more of it. So like Bitcoin, like Cardano, like other assets like this, it's the number is fixed, and so it will not increase. It will not have these numbers of inflation because the number of that will ever be issued is fixed. So it's going back to what we had last century and in different formats until 1971, which is the gold standard. But it's even better than the gold standard because the amount of gold that you can dig out of the ground changes with increases in technology. Okay, but the amount of cryptocurrency that you can mine is fixed. So as the technology gets better and miners will be able to then take more gold out of the ground and then maybe increase the inflation of gold, cryptocurrency will never have that. So it's almost like we managed to basically create a better asset than gold itself, and this is a big achievement in only 13 years. So okay, having done my rant on the economy, my weekly rant, we can move on to crypto now. Let me close a few pages. Now, interesting thing that I wanted to share with you is about domains. Where is the? Sorry, I thought I had them all in the right place, but it's. Now we are just repositioning some things. So there's been one of the success stories in the past few months, even as the price of crypto has stayed downbeat, has been the Ethereum domain name creation. So these are basically domain names, and we got a cases. This is a particular .eth domain names, which are stored basically on the Ethereum blockchain. But a similar thing you might have heard of before with unstoppable domains, which are the same thing. So you get domains like .crypto, .blockchain, .wallet, .nfts, and things like this. And the difference between this and a normal domain name is that once you have purchased one of these domains, it actually belongs to you. So it's recorded and then it's minted on the blockchain, and it's your own domain. Nobody can take it off you. You don't ever need to renew it as you do if you have a normal a domain name. And you can also sell it if you don't need it anymore and you want to sell it on. You can sell it on. So lots of people that used it because they like this idea, but also many people are using it for as an investment, because there are already people that buy and sell regular domain names. This is even more powerful because it is a very growing sector, and nobody can basically steal the domain from you, or there are no extra costs attached to having one of these domain names once you have paid for it and minted it on the blockchain. So this is one of the practical uses again of blockchain technology. Now on the this is interesting. It's a wallet that a core wallet, as you can see here by the name, that was released to begin with as an Avalanche wallet, and you can click here. You can find the original release, and so this is a wallet that does so in one place. Can do. You can do like bridge, swap, buy. You can connect it with Ledger. You can have your portfolio in one place. You can also have your collectibles, like your NFTs, and you also can connect with subnets like DeFi Kingdom, for example, Swimmer, or any private subnets of the Avalanche network. And you can have, similar to what you have like in MetaMask, you can have several several accounts. But the interesting thing is that this was the original release, which was in June. But now, if we go back to the release on the 8th of August, it's now the added extension for Ethereum. So basically, now you can see in this wallet, so as the same functionality that, for example, MetaMask has, because it can connect it to all the blockchains that run the Ethereum virtual machine, which are literally hundreds of different blockchains. But it's got the added advantage of being able to see all in one place. And you can see assets. You see in MetaMask, you have assets and you have activity. Okay, here you got another tab, which is like the collectibles. So you can see the NFTs. Also, you can see all in one place. You can see Avalanche, Bitcoin, you know, and subnets like Swimmer and DFK, Ethereum. So you can, it's a much easier visual display without having to, you know, without having to switch accounts from blockchain to blockchain. So it's compatible with Ethereum. Also, you can see here, you know, as you can say, the different networks they are stored, you know, that you can set up, and also supports subnets. That you're saying there's one of the classifications or one of the peculiarity of Avalanche has been very, very successful. So allows companies or other projects to develop their own blockchain using Avalanche technology. Okay, so it's basically trying to go one step further than what's already, you know, available with MetaMask. So trying to be the place where you can do all things, or you know, not all things, but a lot of things in one place. So where before it was just an Avalanche wallet, now is included the you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum extensions to it. Okay, let me close this. Let me just go on to some of the things. Now, this is another thing to be very careful. Again, there seems to be a very concerted attack against all different types of stable coins in blockchain. So this is another one, which is the UOB USD stablecoin called the HUSD. Again, lost its dollar peg and fell about 15% from its $1 peg. Okay, so obviously this is a worry because at the moment stablecoins are the in between crypto and fiat. So you know, and many people actually use these as a store of value within a crypto account. So without having to send the money back to your own bank, many people hold stable coins if you know, until they are ready to then invest in cryptocurrency, or waiting until they're ready to transfer it back to their own bank account. So this is something that we should all be worried about, because it's not just an attack on a particular stablecoin, but generally is an attack on the crypto industry as a whole, because losing confidence in stablecoins in general would be a disaster for the whole crypto industry, because the stablecoins represent a lot of liquidity that then is used by different projects to you know, to operate cryptocurrencies. On a more positive note, still talking about stablecoins, we got Tether. You know, as we were talking about last week and another, you know, a few weeks before, as well, as USDC releases an accounting report every month saying, you know, the amount of USDC in circulation, amount of reserves, and how the reserves are used. You know, Tether now hires the accounting firm BDO, which is an big international. It's not one of the top four, but you know, it's not far behind. To account to the monthly report to say what the stablecoin reserves are, because one of the main criticism for Tether, which, by the way, for those of you that don't know it, is the first stable coins in terms of liquidity, which has about 10 billion more in liquidity than USDC. So it's a very positive step, because now there's going to be an outside accountant that will audit the reserves and will tell you exactly how these reserves are used. Okay, so Well, you can read the article if you want, but basically this is what it means, because these reserves have been called into question before. So according to the most recent report, which was in March, so quite a while ago, it holds about 86% of its reserves in cash and short-term deposits, 4.5% in corporate bonds, 3.8% in secured loans, and 6% in other investment. Okay, which includes tokens as well. So really, the amount that you can rely on at the moment is 86%. So there is a question mark around the other 14%, which is about $10 billion, by the way. It's not a small amount, okay? Because Tether is what, 67 billion, 67 billion market cap. So 14% of that is over $10 billion, okay? And so it is, I think people are justified in wanting to know what these reserves are made of, because the idea of a stablecoin is that for each stablecoin dollar there is an equivalent amount in a US bank account. So if that wasn't proved to be true, then we would have a problem. Okay, now on a different note, and I don't know if there's anybody here on this call from Canada, but Ontario has announced a limit of 30,000 Canadian dollar. That is the maximum amount to buy in all coins. So this limit doesn't apply to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. Okay, but it's a really there was like they really thrown a stone in the hornet's nest here, because this is completely arbitrary. So who decides these cryptocurrencies are unrestricted and the others are restricted? It's a big thing, and so they even say they go as much to the point of saying that this is a yearly limit, and if you hold more of these coins, you should reduce your holdings of all the other altcoins if you have more than $30,000, or to bring it within within that amount. And if you think about it, it's almost like somebody was telling you how much can you own of, I don't know, how much value can you hold in a house? How much value can you hold of gold? So this is the government telling you exactly, what you can and cannot do with your money, which goes against the principles of cryptocurrency. So we'll see if this holds or not, or what kind of fight back there will be against it. But it does include all of these provinces in Canada. So it is quite big in the sense that this will be limiting limiting to a lot of people that they are interested to do separate different things in cryptocurrency, and if they're not connected with these four for these four coins, then they might have a problem with their things with the authorities. Okay, and here you can go into the actual explanation in detail. So it does apply to these provinces, but not to these ones. Okay, so a lot of people, what this is doing, by the way, because this is a limit that will be enforced by the central exchanges, because it's a requirement now that the government is putting on the exchange that nobody is allowed to do more than this every year. What it's doing is forcing a lot of people are going completely on the blockchain and start, instead of using exchanges, they will instead use decentralized applications. So it'd be interesting to see how this develops. Let me close a few things. Now, start talking about some positive things as well. this is Ripple. Ripple, as you know, is locked into a battle with the SEC for seems like forever. But this is to show you that whatever it's happening in the courts, and they still carry on working. So now they have announced this partnership with one of the major Brazilian banks to use this on-demand liquidity with the Travelex Bank. That means that is a real solution that will help transfer money at a very low cost, very low transaction fee, and also without the need to hold pre-funded capital in the destination market. And this is a big obstacle for people that wanted to move money around. So it will make it's a real, let's say, one of those improvements in real life. I know that there are other options as well that you could do it with Bitcoin, with Cardano, with any other cryptocurrency, but the fact that this is done through a major bank, it means they will it will bring the costs down for people that are not crypto savvy. So these are just people that deal with their own bank. They don't even have to know about XRP. So this is the kind of like innovation. What I was talking to you about, for many weeks, is that slowly blockchain technology is weaving itself into our everyday life. So, and we get to the point when there are things like this, where things are happening without anybody knowing, because they're happening kind of like below the hood in a certain way. So this is how in the back office, that's something that the back office will do, but for the customer experience, the customer will still use his banking network as it would normally, and just now they will find it will be a lot cheaper, a lot easier to send money to in different places and at a lower cost. So this is why it's so interesting when we hear of things like this, because it's in between the let's say a complete crypto transaction and a complete fiat transaction. So it's a fiat transaction that uses crypto technology. Okay, another interesting bit of news, and again, this kind of we learned about BlackRock involvement with crypto, and how it now is making crypto investment available to its users. Also, Google and Morgan Stanley are investing lots of money into blockchain and crypto technology. Like we know that Google has recently invested about $1.5 billion in crypto, which is kind of like, it's funny to say that, but it's kind of like a small change to them. But still, it shows that they now are paying very, very interesting attention to what's happening in the industry, and I can see as a future technology that they are following very, very carefully. So one of the most interesting startups, for example, is Fireblocks. Okay, Fireblocks uses a very innovative technology for approving transactions. So that improves, is a better solution. It's what is called threshold signatures, which is considered to be a much better solution than multi-signature wallets, because with multi-signature wallets, for example, you can see on the blockchain all the wallet addresses that are required to approve a certain transaction. And so, if you were a hacker, then you could target those addresses and trying to get the private keys so that you could steal the money that's in the account that's controlled by the multi-signature wallet. With the solution threshold signature instead, that procedure of approving transactions happens off-chain, and nobody sees the addresses of the wallets that are needed to approve a certain transaction. So even if you were to hack one of the wallets, one of the multi-signature wallets that are required to approve a transaction, you wouldn't know what other addresses you need to hack to then be able to post a transaction on the blockchain. So these are kind of interesting innovations, and one of the most interesting projects that Google has invested in. but I just wanted to basically highlight how big money is starting to find its way into into this sector. Let me close a couple of things. This will carry on. I carry on reporting every week about Celsius because this is a big project that, and I know that, you know, I personally have some funds in Celsius that at the moment are locked, and I don't see, you know, if and when I will get access to them, and I know that some of you have as well. So we're following this process now. Celsius has started this journey through the bankruptcy proceedings. And it's interesting to see now that they will appoint an examiner to more closely follow anything that Celsius is doing now to try and improve conditions for for everybody, including people like you and me that have some money locked away in them. And another thing that went on as well is Celsius managed to get authorization to use Celsius as one of the part of their business was having Bitcoin mining rigs. Okay, so they managed to unlock part of these Bitcoins that have been produced through their mining rigs to deploy a larger number of Bitcoin miners that have already been purchased, but they're not in operation yet. So obviously these miners have got costs in terms of electricity, etc., etc. So they needed to use these Bitcoins to then finance these operations. So they are trying to basically create more value, because at the moment, you know, not only there is a big hole in the Celsius finances, but also, you know, they are burning cash as they are, because they don't have a lot of income coming in. And obviously the bankruptcy proceedings are costly in itself, you know, and people are still working there, and they need to get, you know, to get wages, etc., etc. So it's good to see now. I mean, the bankruptcy proceeding allows the people involved, you know, the creditors, as you know, as such, to have more transparency in what is happening, and also have somebody there that can report on every step that is taken to then improve the you know, the returns to people that got money deposited in there. All right, so another 2 minutes, another couple of things, and then we will go to question and answers. This is interesting because, you know, even if you're not a gamer anymore, like I'm not, but if you have children or teenagers or people that are in the early 20s, you must have heard about Fortnite, kind of like a very extremely successful game. And now the developer of Fortnite have just announced support for this particular blockchain play-to-earn racing game called Talk Drift 2. So this is an Australian developer, Grease Monkey Games, which is a subsidiary of Animoca Brands. Okay, Animoca Brands is a big name in gaming. So this is basically a big backing, you know, from a big company, because Fortnite now is the Fortnite developer is huge, and they received a grant from Epic Games and to further develop this game. So just keep, I mean, if you're interested in gaming or whatever, keep an eye on this game, Talk Drift 2, and see how it develops. Not investment advice, by the way. Okay, this is another. These are, I mean, all these things that I'm bringing to you are pieces of the puzzles. Okay, so they are meant to be seen not in isolation but as a whole, because all these bits add to you know, to the success of the whole industry. And this is another piece of the puzzle. I see CME Group is the largest derivatives exchange in the world. So Chicago Mercantile Exchange, where apart from crypto, you exchange futures about, maybe, all the commodities, orange juice, wheat, pork belly, anything that you can produce, you can, and it's got a large trading volume, is exchanged on this Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So now Ethereum options are started to be would start to be offered by the CME in September. So again, not just Bitcoin, but also Ethereum as well started to make its way as a big institutional investment possibility, and the big institutional groups now are starting to support it. So that's step one, then step two, then step three, step four, and so on. I don't know if I actually canceled that page, but there was an announcement as well that in Germany, Solana and Cardano as well, possibility to be invested in for everybody, because there's been an announcement that another partnership between one of the major, like the third German bank, and a group that offers exchange traded products in crypto, so that these products will be available through this bank. These exchange traded products basically are exchange traded funds that concentrate on one particular asset. So they already have been very successful with products in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now they're going to offer products with Solana, Cardano, but also Uniswap, Chainlink, and Engine Coin as well. So these are all like a fairly large project in different, in different projects. But it's interesting, like bringing these crypto products to the end user, and even people that up to now may not have bought, a single cryptocurrency so far. And this is the market that these exchange traded products aim for, because if you already have, cryptocurrency exchange account, if you have money in crypto already, you can go and buy these things yourself. You don't need a third party that buys them for you. But for many people that are not comfortable with technology or with doing these things on their own, and prefer somebody to take away all the technical aspects connected to doing these purchases, then this is an option to bring more users in that wouldn't otherwise be involved. So interesting. Couple more things. We finished with Cardano related news. One has to do with a new paper that's been released by Cardano, and that we talk all the time about proof of work blockchains like Bitcoin, and one of the biggest criticism in Bitcoin has been that they basically waste all the energy that is needed to confirm transactions and to secure the network. So the energy expended to keep the network going is bigger than a small medium-sized state like Belgium, for example, uses. So it is a kind of like an issue that has been talked about in the media a lot. Now there was this idea about creating a proof of useful work consensus mechanism, which means that instead using still a proof of work mechanism, but instead of just solving really senseless equation, because at the moment kind of like the equation that they are trying to solve to support a Bitcoin network don't mean anything. They're not. So they just support the network and do nothing else. The idea is, what if we put all this computing power solving some real world problems, and then need a large amount of computing power? So if we could do that, we could have the best of both worlds. So we could have still Bitcoin being as secure as it is today, but actually doing something good with all that energy instead of wasting it. And so this is the paper that Cardano has released, which is, I don't know how they get this, I don't know what they get this name, but Ophelimos, which is a proof of useful work based blockchain protocol. Okay, Queen. So it's like a third option between proof of work and proof of stake, there is this, there could be this proof of useful work, it's been talked about for a long time, but nobody had a practical solution or something that could be done. Many people thought that it was impossible to develop. But these are the kind of things that Cardano does, by the way. So even if it doesn't help their own network, it could help other networks that use proof of work. So in the same way that the accounting model that they use is an improvement on Bitcoin's accounting model, so this could be also an improvement on the Bitcoin consensus mechanism, the proof of work. Okay, so I'll post this. If you're interested, you can go and read it. And the last thing is the, we've been talking about this Basel hard fork, which will introduce a lot of functionality on the Cardano blockchain. Now it's been delayed and delayed and delayed again, because although the software is ready and finished, and then it's good to go through testing. And doing testing, sometimes they find some bugs. So whenever there's a bug, then they need to do the patch and then restart the whole testing process from scratch. But this is why it takes so long. But is it a negative or is it a positive? And this is the kind of a thing there why I bring some of these articles to you. So criticizers of the Cardano blockchain will say, oh, look, they're taking a long time to do anything, and it is true. But the reason why they take a long time to do everything is because they tend to do things properly once they're there. You have heard about all the, for example, all the money that's been stolen out of DeFi protocols so far, in any possible blockchain that you can name. But this hasn't happened in Cardano yet. For example, and this is the reason why, because they take their time to test and make sure that everything is completely clean before before it's released. And I know a lot of people are frustrated, and there are some grumbles as well in the Cardano ecosystem. But at the end of the day, we should welcome all this, because these are not games that we're playing. This is the new paradigm that we are putting together to run the world. Really, there's no other way of putting it. So we want to be serious about it and make sure that there aren't any problems that we find out later on, and we have to kind of scramble around trying to sort with, let's say, disaster recovery technology. But we can make sure that it works before before it's actually released. So okay, now this was my last bit. I've almost gone a whole hour, so hopefully you're still awake, and we are ready to take some questions.
Luca, could I ask a question in terms of the what you said about the stable coins is a bit of a concern considering what happened with Terra Luna. Can you explain how the peg works and whose interest is it in to attack that and change it?
Well, I mean, basically what stable coins are is a big pot of money laying somewhere. And so if you can find a way of stealing the stable coins or attacking the stable coins, then you can get your hands on some of the money. So it is like in some cases is an outright theft when there is a hack. In other cases, the people that can cause a market collapse. And if you know that there's a big pricing change coming into anything, and you know it beforehand, then you can sell and buy back later, and you gain that difference. So there are, if people knew that what was happening with the HUSD, at the moment it's lost 15%. So you could have gained 15% plus leveraging. It could be even a lot more than that. So that's the kind of the reason why they might be trying to do it, because they want access to the fund that those coins represents. But so this is where it's important to understand, different stable coins and how they have how they are backed. Because I mean, I'm not particularly familiar with the HUSD, but both Tether and USDC say that each one of the digital dollars is backed by a physical version of it. So it should be impossible to have a run, let's say like a run in the banks, because so many dollars are in the banks that there are in circulation.
So why would the peg move from one to one if each stable coin has a physical backup? Or
I'm saying Tether and USDC do. I'm not quite sure what the backing of HUSD was.
Okay.
And why it's lost the peg. At the end of the day, they lose the peg because they can't support the selling volume is so much greater than the buying volume, and each stablecoin has a mechanism. So when the price moves away from the peg, and they all do, by the way, I mean, even USDT and USDC move away from the peg, but it's a tiny amount. So they will go, you'll see them, they're never exactly $1. They will be 1.0001 or 1.0002. And there is a mechanism that encourages arbitrageurs to go in and bring back the level to the peg. So there is a financial incentive for people to go in and do that. But if you lose trust in a particular stablecoin, and you are required to keep the coin, to keep buying the stablecoin, you're only buying it because you know that you can buy at profit. If you know that there is a problem with it and the price is going down, you wouldn't support the price. So this is why these things tend to happen. I mean, I don't know. I just saw the article this morning, so I don't know exactly what's behind it and what the problems were with this particular stablecoin. But there was a lot of money that was in stable coins and in DeFi projects, and a lot of them have been attacked. A lot of them have been attacked because it's they found a way of doing it, and they found the other thing is that as well, and that we often talk about, is that many of these projects are based on the Ethereum technology, have got vulnerabilities.
Because it does sound like being called a stable coin is a contradiction, because they're not. And
well, no, it's their projects, and I mean this is all new technologies that's trying to be developed. So yes, and there's a big difference between central stable coins. They are started by a particular exchange, and stable coins, they are kind of decentralized projects. And you need to look into each one of these projects and see what their plan is to keep the peg. And at the end of the day, is behind each project to be successful, there is the community's trust. And the more people are behind the project and supported with their trust, the more likely it is to succeed. And succeeding in the terms of the stable coins is to stay stable.
Yeah, so you'd need, the more you can show an audit with as close to 100% cash as possible, then the better. But if it's trust, then you can have fake news being circulated or things like that, which creates rumors, which creates people selling, and then it gets out of hand. I mean, it sounds like it's a real concern for the crypto industry for the stable coins to be unstable.
Oh, definitely. But it's whenever there is a problem, there's an opportunity and there's a solution coming. So this is why, for example, I mean, talking again of Cardano, Cardano and Coty are developing the the DJED stablecoin, for example, which is a completely different approach, which is an algorithmic stablecoin. There's not supported by dollars, but it's supported by by an algorithm. Is buying and selling different crypto native assets rather than stable coins. So it's then seeing which one would be the one that would succeed. And many people, there are strong communities behind certain projects, like make a DAO, for example, with the DAI, that's probably the oldest algorithmic coin project that has succeeded until present day. What's in then the project that can prove they have got that stability, that strength, then will attract a lot of capital investment in the future. So this is why it's important to be careful in the way we do things, because this is serious. Like, it's not just a project that is we're trying to launch, it can be successful or not, and this is people that need to trust something with their own value. So there is big things going on, and sometimes when there is the bull market, I don't want to use bad words, but everything floats. Let's put it that way. Okay. So, and some of the things then don't survive when the tide changes.
Yeah.
So this is a way. It's natural in new technology to have the bad projects, having trouble, and then the good ones surviving and then driving the standards forwards.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, Jonathan, if you want to have 2 words, maybe saying what's going on in the Cardano community. So I know that there are some big words about the Basel hard fork. Don't know if you follow the thread or not.
Yeah, I haven't tested my mic yet. Is it all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I got notification last night, or yesterday, in fact, that now is the time to start upgrading the stake pool nodes, the block producers. Or they're not officially said go for block producers yet, but it's now safe to be running the latest release of Cardano's node on the blockchain mainnet, which effectively means that we are very, very ready. So the criteria for actually pushing the hard fork over to mainnet. So you have the software that runs on a pre-production environment, a DevNet, a pre-production environment, and then onto mainnet, which is totally separate from the normal testnet that they run. And then once that software has been running for a certain time on mainnet, then the hard fork is triggered. So because I've got this very, very accomplished hard fork combinator, it means that you can roll out software in advance and not actually release the features of it until you're ready. So once 75% of blocks are being produced on the new node version, so the new software version, then we can actually trigger the hard fork, and that's when the new features will be released. So we'll suddenly have the ability to do a whole load of optimizations in terms of transactions, so reference transactions, and that'll lead on to new features down the road, like pipelining and input endorsers, and there's a whole load of exciting things for nerds will result in huge savings and speed improvements for people using the Cardano blockchain. So yeah, there's absolutely no reason to be concerned about the delays. Exactly like Luca was saying, it's all been very, very much. I mean, it's incredible actually. So you've got IOG who write the software, and they're the ones saying, yes, we must go live, must go live, must go live. We're ready, go for it. And in fact, it's the community that's now saying, whoa, just hold off a minute. You haven't given us time to test. We've got all these applications out there that are relying on this software now. And we didn't have the application before, and you released quickly, and that's fine. Now it's like, slow down. We've got exchanges, we've got applications that don't know how this change is going to react. So we just need to. And so the brakes are actually being put on by the community, and even Charles is starting to be like, Charles, you're just going too fast. Just slow down. Yeah,
unusual, isn't it?
By the yeah.
Yeah, but that's showing how a decentralized community, decentralized network works. So exactly that. Even the creator, the founders, cannot decide now on their own what to do, because the community is in charge now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And even within, so there are 3 bodies that hold the sort of genesis keys for Cardano, which is Emergo, Cardano Foundation, and IOG. And between them, they all have to agree to release hard forks. And so the holders of those keys are in 3 bodies. So even that can't be rushed, without it. And, they're working on Voltaire, which is going to start being worked on in Enthusiasm after this hard fork, where it will actually hand those keys over to the community. So then it becomes a really decentralized, community-owned blockchain, which is, scary and exciting.
So you will.
We don't know
then,
how thousands of people control parameter releases on a blockchain. So Cardano's had the most work on that, and that's what's coming.
At that point, you will actually physically own a piece of Cardano, you can say, Jonathan.
I got my history written into the chain already. We minted our 6th block this week. So
well done.
I am validating transaction. Very good.
Fantastic. By the way, if all of you that want to know more about Cardano, just log into Jonathan's sessions at 9:30. So as usual, Jonathan, just I know that most people now would have seen it in this call, but just type the link for people to come and follow your session as well. Okay, which by the way, is different. It's not on Zoom, but it's on Discord. So most of you should be familiar now with Discord. For now, I'm closing this call down. We're a few minutes about after 9 o'clock. So I look forward to seeing you all again next Friday, and which 1926, yes. Still 2 sessions before my holiday, so there will be 1 session there we'll miss once we're on holiday beginning of September, but still okay for the next couple of weeks. So I'll see you again next Friday or Monday if you're part of my group, and have a great weekend. And yes, sorry.
Hello, sorry, it's Robin.
Hi, Robin.
You're trying to say goodbye. I can't find a session from Monday, and I think you talked about MetaMask.
I think I posted it, but I'll double check, Robin, if I posted it on Discord or not, and if I haven't, I will make sure to post it there.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, see you all next week then. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Luca. Bye.
Bye.